Hi, I'm Lily. Usually, I go unnoticed, like, people walk right past me in the hallway and act like I'm air. But last Thursday, invisible mode failed spectacularly. I got into a taxi after the worst day ever. Hair looking like a tornado hit it, hoodie practically swallowing me whole, headphones blasting some sad indie song that only made my mood worse. I thought I'd be alone, crying quietly to my playlist like a normal human being. And then, he sat next to me. At the back. Not the driver, not some friend, this complete stranger. And for some reason, I felt like I could tell him everything. The weird, messy, slightly pathetic version of me. The part one normally hide. So I started talking. About my annoying job, my ridiculous roommate, my awful love life, or, more accurately, my non-existent love life. I didn't expect him to care. I didn't even expect him to respond. But he did. Little did I know, this random taxi ride was about to become the start of the most awkward, hilarious, and surprisingly romantic chapter of my life. I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye. He looked normal. Maybe even annoyingly perfect normal. Clean haircut, smart jacket, calm eyes like he wasn't about to get annoyed at a stranger spilling her existential crisis in a taxi. Sometimes I feel like my life is just a series of small disasters, I said, because clearly, starting with, "Hi, I'm a mess," was a good idea. He chuckled. Not a fake laugh, but a real, gentle one. Small disasters, huh? I think everyone has them, he said. And then, shockingly, he asked my name. Lily, I mumbled. My voice was half shy, half panicked. Because why do strangers care about my name? He smiled. Nice to meet you, Lily. I'm Alex. And just like that, I started talking. About my awful coffee habits, my failed attempts at cooking, my boss who somehow thought motivational posters were a substitute for actual management. All of it. And he didn't judge. Not even a little. He laughed at the right times, nodded at the right times, and for some reason, I felt lighter. Like carrying my messy brain on my shoulders suddenly got easier just because he was there. By the time the taxi stopped at my apartment, I realized I'd spilled half my life story to a complete stranger. A stranger. And I liked it. But, of course, life loves a little twist. The very next Monday, I walked into work, trying to act like a normal human being again, and there he was. Alex. Not a stranger anymore. My new boss. Cue the internal screaming. The first morning I saw him at work, I froze. Like a cartoon character with steam coming out of my ears. There he was, Alex. My taxi stranger. My boss. I wanted to disappear. Or hide under my desk. Or maybe just crawl into my coffee mug. But no. Reality is rude. He looked up and smiled. That same calm, gentle smile from the taxi. Morning, Lily, he said. Morning, I stammered. My voice cracked like a teenager's first karaoke attempt. Why did my body think this was a good time to betray me? Over the next few days, things got awkward, but also weirdly comforting. Every time he walked by, my brain turned into scrambled eggs. And every time he asked about a project, I babbled like I was auditioning for a comedy show. And then, one afternoon, we ended up staying late in the office. Just the two of us. He noticed I looked stressed, like a cartoon character juggling 10 coffee cups. "You seem tense," he said. I sighed, because what's better than admitting you're a mess to your boss? I worry about everything. My work, my bills, my life. I'm terrible at adulting, I admitted. And he just smiled. That smile that made me forget my embarrassment. "Lily, everyone worries. You're doing fine." Little by little, our conversations got longer. Not about work. About silly movies, embarrassing childhood stories, weird hobbies. He told me about his love for cooking, which he was terrible at, and I shared my obsession with cat memes. We laughed. A lot. And slowly, I realized, I liked him. Not just because he was nice. Or smart. Or annoyingly perfect. But because he made me feel like it was okay to be messy, and human, and real. Of course, my messy brain had its own plans. I kept thinking, he's a boss. I'm not rich. He could never like someone like me. But Alex, he wasn't concerned about that. And little did I know, he was about to prove that sometimes, love doesn't care about the small stuff. A few weeks passed, and our little office friendship became something more. I caught myself smiling at my phone like a total fool when he texted, and laughing at jokes I probably shouldn't laugh at in front of colleagues. But my brain, of course, had other plans. He's your boss. He's successful. He has money. You don't. He'll leave you if he finds out how normal you are. One Friday evening, we were leaving the office together. Just a casual, walking to the subway, situation. I kept fiddling with my hoodie strings like a nervous hamster. "You okay, Lily?" Alex asked. I froze. How does one respond to that question when their heart is doing somersaults? Yeah, just tired," I muttered, avoiding eye contact. He chuckled softly. "You're always tired." "But I don't think that's the real reason," he said, stopping and turning to face me. His eyes, those calm, thoughtful eyes, looked straight into my chaos. I don't know if this makes sense," I whispered, "I mean, us. You're so far ahead in life, and I'm just me." He reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair from my face. "Lily, stop thinking about money or status. I like you. You. All of you. Not the job, not the bank account, just you." I blinked. And for a moment, the world paused. The noisy subway, the honking cars, the busy streets, it all faded. Just him. Just us. And something in me loosened. Maybe it was relief. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was the beginning of love that didn't care about numbers or titles. That night, I went home thinking, okay, maybe this isn't a disaster. Maybe it's just a very, very good mess. The next few weeks were interesting. Awkward. Hilarious. Heart-flipping. Every time Alex walked by my desk, my brain short-circuited. One day, I accidentally spilled coffee on a stack of papers just as he leaned over to ask a question. My face turned so red I thought it might actually combust. He just laughed, a real, warm laugh, and said, "Don't worry, Lily. Papers can be replaced. Coffee can't." Sometimes we'd have lunch together. Not official work lunch, just coincidental cafeteria meetings that somehow always ended with us sharing fries or me spilling my drink on him. I'm a magnet for clumsy disasters. And yet, every time, he smiled, teased me gently, and somehow made me feel like the clumsiest version of me was also the most lovable. One rainy evening, we ended up walking together to the subway again. I had forgotten my umbrella, naturally, so I was drenched. He took off his jacket and draped it over my shoulders. "You're going to catch a cold," he said, his voice calm, steady, ridiculously reassuring. I wanted to protest, but all that came out was a squeaky, "Thank you." My cheeks probably reached new heights of redness. It wasn't just the little moments. It was the bigger ones too. He remembered tiny details about me, my favorite coffee, the way I like my bagels toasted, how I hate jazz music but secretly hum along when no one's watching. And I realized, he really listens. One night, after a late meeting, we walked back together. The city lights shimmered on wet streets. I kept stealing glances at him, heart racing. And then, he reached out and held my hand. Not awkwardly. Not too tight. Just right. "I like holding your hand," he said casually, like it was the most normal thing in the world. My brain tried to argue, "Boss, difference in income, what if this is a mistake?" But my heart had other plans. It leaned in, wrapped itself around his warmth, and whispered, "This feels right." That night, I realized something important. Love doesn't care about bank accounts, titles, or being perfect. It cares about moments like this. About laughter, clumsy coffee spills, shared umbrellas, and warm hands in cold nights. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself hope. Not just for a date, or a smile, or a text back. But for something real. Something messy, funny, and completely wonderful. Something with Alex. Even though we were officially together. Well, I thought we were, because Alex never said the words out loud, but the hand-holding, the jokes, the little dinners, they all felt like us. I still had my brain doing that thing it does best, overthinking. He's rich. He has everything. I don't. I can't be enough. I shouldn't be here. One Saturday, we went to a small cafe downtown. I insisted on paying for my own latte because, well, pride. And because my brain was screaming, "Don't let him pay for you." Alex just raised an eyebrow, smiled that calm, infuriating smile, and said, "Lily, why are we pretending money matters? We're not buying houses yet. We're having coffee. Coffee is cheap. You're priceless." I nearly choked on my drink. Priceless? I whispered, laughing nervously, cheeks burning. He reached across the table and took my hand. Yes. You. Me. This, whatever this is, it's not about money. It's about us. You're worth more than any paycheck, Lily. Don't let numbers make you doubt that. I wanted to argue. I really did. But his eyes, warm, sincere, unshakable, made all my doubts melt away. That night, walking back to my apartment in the chilly evening air, we shared an umbrella again. My hands were cold, and he noticed immediately, grabbing mine, rubbing them gently. "I like you, Lily. All of you. Even your chaotic, clumsy, wonderfully weird self. Money doesn't change that. Titles don't change that. Nothing does." I laughed softly, because yes, I was still nervous, still shy, but also completely, ridiculously in love. And maybe for the first time, I allowed myself to believe, love doesn't care about the little things I always worried about. Love cares about moments, laughter, connection, and him. And just like that, I realized something. Maybe I was enough. Maybe we were enough. Maybe this messy, awkward, funny, coffee-spilling version of me could really be loved. That night, under city lights and shared umbrellas, I smiled, finally letting go of the fears that had held me back. "And Alex?" He just squeezed my hand, smiled, and whispered, "Welcome to us, Lily." The following week felt magical. Like I'd somehow stepped into a rom-com that I didn't even audition for, but somehow got the lead role. Alex and I still had our clumsy moments, like the time I tripped over my own feet while walking into the office and he caught me just in time, holding me up like some dramatic movie scene. I was mortified, my cheeks flaming red, but he just laughed and whispered, "You make falling look adorable." We spent weekends exploring small bookstores, trying ridiculous recipes, him failing, me laughing hysterically, and sharing stories from our childhoods, me about my disastrous school plays, him about his attempts at learning the guitar. Every little thing made me feel closer to him, like we were building a tiny world of our own. One Friday night, after a long week, Alex invited me to a rooftop cafe. The city lights were sparkling, the air was crisp, and my heart was, well, doing that chaotic little dance it always did around him. "Lily," he said softly, taking my hand, "I know we haven't known each other long. But I need you to know. I love you. Not the idea of you, not the image of someone perfect. You." I blinked, caught off guard, my heart swelling so fast I thought it might burst. I love you too," I whispered, almost laughing at how ridiculous my voice sounded. He grinned, leaned closer, and kissed my forehead gently. Just a kiss, not dramatic, not over the top, just enough to make me feel safe, cherished, and completely, utterly happy. As we sat there, hand in hand, watching the city lights flicker, I realized something profound. Life might be messy, awkward, and unpredictable, but love, real love, can make even the messiest moments feel perfect. And in that moment, I knew it didn't matter about money, status, or being enough. All that mattered was us, our laughter, our little disasters, and the fact that somehow, out of a random taxi ride, I had found him. Alex, my taxi stranger, my boss, my partner in laughs, and now, my love, had turned my world upside down in the best possible way. And for the first time in my life, I didn't want it to go back to normal. Because normal was boring. And this was perfect.